Everyone checking in on commodities, and we're going to start on the longer term time frames. If you've been following along with my commodities videos, I'm watching things from a broader perspective, from a longer term time frame. I think those are where the setups are most clear. I'm patiently waiting for these longer term patterns to give us signals, and those are going to be the ones that I act on. So while I'm busy trading other things, like the marijuana sector that's a lot more volatile in the recent past, I'm patiently waiting because I know there will be trades for these commodities longer term patterns breaking sometime likely in 2019. So we'll start it off with the dollar. On the weekly time frame, we had that double bottom, 95.82, 95.74, not exactly a double bottom, but when you see the bulls respond to a level like that, it's definitely notable that it's still holding. So we broke that support level by 8 cents into a straight big time bull move, essentially 8 days in a row. So that stands out to me. I'm calling that a double bottom of support. And we're now looking up at 97.71 key resistance, which is our double top and must break level. The bulls are overextended as we're heading towards this resistance. So we can anticipate that the dollar is likely going to reject from 97.71, at least on the initial attempt. If the bulls are going to break this resistance level, we're likely going to need a daily higher low and then continuation move to try and break that resistance. Keeping the longer-term monthly time frame in mind, we're looking for continuation. A monthly higher low formed, we have our clear resistance levels, but this is what I call a save by the bulls from a clear bear break, and we're heading right back up towards resistance. So keeping an eye out for consolidation in the short term this week to start off, and then once that higher low is established, we'll see if that 97.71 level can break. Gold, on the other hand, on the weekly time frame, is giving us a more likely scenario in the sense that once we pulled back this much, the odds that we were going to see a gold bull move straight into a higher high were not as likely as the odds of seeing a lower high in tightening range. So here we are close to losing the weekly uptrend and confirming the new downtrend. We have our high, low of the pullback, lower high, and that would be a lower low if 1280 breaks. If we lose that weekly uptrend, the monthly time frame is giving us a really good equilibrium for the last couple of years. We're still looking for this higher low to form. I'm still skeptical of these gold bulls in the short term because I do believe that this equilibrium is going to continue tightening up through 2019. So we will be looking for a monthly higher low to form somewhere in the lower $1,200 range. If we break this weekly chart and break 1280, the odds that we're heading down to the lower 1200s will increase more significantly. So it all depends on what this consolidation looks like, and that can give us clues. Are we more likely to break this longer term pattern bullish, or are we more likely to break it bearish? And if we consolidate here and were to hold 1240, that would favor the bulls in my opinion. Anything under 1240, and we would start to favor the bears in my opinion. So short term, it's all about 1280 and whether or not that level can hold. And if it cannot, monthly equilibrium is back on watch, and we will have to see a change in weekly trend back to the bulls to indicate our monthly higher low has been established. So all about 1280 key support for gold this coming week. Bull miners unable to break resistance on the weekly time frame, 23.7, 23.70 for GDX, and we topped out at 23.38 before closing near the low of the week. So looking at it on the daily time frame, 21.83 is the most important short-term support. That's our higher low on the daily, and we've significantly pulled back, but it is still a daily uptrend at this point. So for the bears to take over, we're going to have to see gold break that 1280 support, and we're going to have to see these bull miners lose the daily uptrend with a lower high and lower low, which would mean monthly consolidation is underway. And at this point, the bulls are trying for a monthly bull flag, which is still a possibility, and a new candlestick is going to form on all these monthly candlesticks tomorrow, but it's all about the daily uptrend in the short term for GDX, 2183. For GDXJ, it's a little bit different. You can see the weekly, we have the high, low, lower high. This looks more like gold, XAU USD, which we just looked at. On the daily time frame, we lost support already, and we've closed at the low of the day 3 days in a row. So that's notable. That little daily higher low is now gone. 3060 is key support, and we're going to look for more significant monthly consolidation. It's essentially the same thing. We saw this monthly pattern on gold where we were wondering, is this a bull flag straight into a break? And now that we are losing some support levels and heading towards weekly support, the odds of the need for a monthly higher low increase. So for GDXJ, we'll look for a monthly higher low compared to 25.91 because to change this trend, we need the monthly higher low and higher high to try and follow through. U.S. oil, bulls still on fire. Strong close, breaking the higher highs at the end of the week, closing over $60. 60.71 and 61 psychological are our new resistance levels, and the bulls defended 58.15 support by 4 pennies, giving us a clear double bottom on the daily chart. And that's an instance where we have oversold conditions on the hourly time frame right as we head to support. We hold support and a very significant bull move following through off of that support holding. So oil has to break 58.15 for the bears to get any kind of traction, because anything above that keeps the bulls in full control. And last, natural gas, still very weak, still has not formed a weekly higher low compared to 2571. So our new weekly lower high is 289, the double or the triple top at that level, and we're quickly heading back to 2751 as soon as we broke that daily support of 2772 after the double top. That was the clear red flag for the bulls, and you can see the bears have pretty much controlled the last week and a half very easily. So depending on how oversold we get as we head to 2571, it will be a potential bottom fishing play, because the daily RSI is close to oversold, the 4-hour RSI is right at oversold, and the hourly RSI is right at oversold. So if we were to start this coming week and drop down to the low 260s, a bottom fishing play, looking for the oversold bounce and looking for the bulls to hold 257 is a potential play to be keeping an eye out for in the short term. So just to summarize, we're looking at longer term monthly patterns on dollar, gold, and miners. I do favor gold to continue consolidating and need to form a monthly higher low. Breaking 1280 will make me more confident of that fact. If the bulls can hold 1280 for, let's say, the next 2 weeks, that'll prove some bull strength to me, and I will change my tune. Other than that, we're going to be watching the oil bulls for continuation, certainly helping the S&P 500 bulls. S&P 500, second strongest close in 2019. Oil, strongest close in 2019. I do not think that's a coincidence. Certainly correlations between oil and the markets. And again, oversold bounce play on NatGas USD to be keeping an eye on, because we still have a few percentage points to work with before we head to key support, and we're already oversold on some key timeframes. Thanks again. Hope you had a good weekend. We'll see you throughout the week. So, Adventure Time, we've got Natural Bridges National Monument now. Pretty similar to Arches, but just a little bit different. And there's a nice little valley with trails and paths to walk through. So, another very picturesque spot with some very cool rock formations. And I actually ended up getting lost for the first time. I never really got lost. Definitely went the wrong way and had to backtrack sometimes, but I got lost, completely lost the trail here. And it was, well, these bugs are really cool. They're pretty much a mix between a giant moth and a hummingbird. And I couldn't figure out, is that a hummingbird or what is going on there? And I forget their specific name, but it is something that alludes to their similarity. But they were having a blast on these yellow flowers, getting their pollen and nectar. But ended up getting lost on this trail and stuck in a valley, essentially, in a canyon. So I had to scale the walls of the canyon to just get to the top and to be able to see things. And then ended up, by the time I had to go 6 miles out of the way and it was dusk, it wasn't the kind of thing where I was, fearing for my life. I pretty much knew worst case scenario, I'm going to be hungry and I'm going to have to sleep exposed out, in the open and deal with it tomorrow. But fortunately found my way out and ended my way back to the tent, exhausted, pretty much hiked twice as long as I was anticipating, but it was a good learning experience. So a really nice canyon walk, natural bridge. You can see where the name comes from. This is in Utah as well, Gooseneck State Park. Incredible river that, obviously has cut this path and just winds back and forth. And to just see time eroded like this, very cool. Another place where you want to time it right, because I got there too early and was dripping sweat, completely exposed, waiting for dusk. But another spot where you just put your tent right there. There's nobody else around. Maybe there was one other RV that was sitting up there. Not a ton to do, but if you can keep yourself entertained with a book or with some music or with some ganja, it's a pretty good spot. But a really interesting geological formation. That's how I entertain myself. A little bit of modern art, leaving my mark. And that's that. So after Capitol Reef was heading down, where did we go next? I think we're coming close to the end of this trip. And then we'll see what am I going to talk about at the end of videos. We'll find something. So have a good Friday night. We'll be back tomorrow with USMJ eventually. Going to go to Smoky Mountain National Park again on the way home, which is actually where this road trip chapter 1 started. So all full circle. See you then.